Wait, am I allowed to talk yet? Because
I
I've not
think
been
you can
introduced.
talk.
Oh, because I was gonna keep prompting, but I was like, I realize if I'm like not introduced yet, then who even am I? Like, no one right now, just a
That's
voice.
true. Okay, maybe I should
Void.
introduce interns.
Oh yeah, should we go to the next?
That
Okay.
disembodied voice belongs to Rajan Carson, one of the Midstory interns who worked on this podcast. We heard from him all the way back in episode 3. Our interns were a massive help on the show, and we also felt like it would be important to include their voices, not just to reward them for their hard work, but also because they're a part of the story of brain drain in Toledo.
Should I do the first line?
How do you feel?
I think it was good.
They're the young, educated people this city says it's trying to attract. As we've heard in the previous 6 episodes, that effort hasn't really panned out. At least, not yet. But these young professionals did make it to Toledo, even if they only stayed a short while. We've already heard their perspective on living, working, and playing in this city, but we also wanted to know what it felt like to help make this podcast, what their time in Toledo meant to them.
Can I talk about the interviews that I did, or is that not, it's all fair game?
Yeah, all fair game.
Okay.
In the last 8 years, Midstory has brought over 200 young people just like them to Toledo through our internship and fellowship programs. They may only stay here for 2 months or a year, and their experiences may be limited, but they're exactly the kind of young talent Toledo needs. And maybe it's the right time to hear about what they have to say about our city. Because regardless of whether you agree, their perspective is something we can learn from. Welcome to Brain Drain, a brand new Midstory production that presents an average American city through the eyes of the people who've left it behind. I'm Dea Kukeli.
And I'm Yannick Schaller. Episode 7, You Will Do Better in Toledo. Part 1, The Interns. Allow me to present our lovely interns in the order you'll hear from them in this episode.
I'm Martin Barreto. I go to Syracuse University. I'm a senior. I'm originally from Cleveland, Ohio, but I moved to Toledo when I was 5 years old, and I've been here ever since.
Hi, I'm Yasu. I go to Oberlin College, though I'm originally from Charlottesville, Virginia.
My name is Anavi Prakash. I am a rising junior at Northwestern University studying journalism and social policy. I'm from Milwaukee, Wisconsin, so also in the Midwest.
Hi, my name is Rajan. I am from Atlanta, Georgia, and I've lived there my entire life, and I'm a rising senior at Duke University.
Now, let's be clear. Our interns do come from all different backgrounds and upbringings, but we also recognize that they're highly educated and that they see Toledo and the concept of brain drain from a very specific perspective. This is a point that Jeff Schaff emphasized too. Remember, he's the Vice President of Talent and Strategy at the Toledo Chamber of Commerce. We heard from him in episode 6. Jeff's argument is that zeroing in on the grievances of this specific demographic of highly educated young people paints an incomplete picture of Toledo. Yes, those folks have been leaving, but Jeff says that the city is much more than the place that those people think they're leaving behind. Noted. But all that being said, interns like Martin, Yasu, Anavi, and Rajan are a lot like the people Toledo is losing. They spent a summer imagining what a Toledo that included them might look like, and comparing that to the city they saw in front of them. Their impressions didn't always line up with the perspectives of proud Toledoans.
That comes to head in a lot of the interviews, at least that I've done, where...
Here's Martin.
This isn't something that I try to intentionally set up, but we talk about the issues that people have in Toledo. We talk about like the difficulties of their job, the difficulties of like the arts in Toledo and like attracting young people to Toledo. And it felt like it reached a point where they felt the need to defend then Toledo, where the next like whatever 15, 20 minutes was them being like, well, yeah, we do have all these issues and these challenges, but like Toledo's actually great. So like this inclination to defend Toledo maybe against like some of the rational things that they might think is definitely like a prevalent issue.
I've noticed the same thing as Marty. Like, I feel like a lot of the interviews we did, particularly, and I think it really, there's a generational thing. Like, I feel like younger people are a lot more lukewarm about Toledo, well, like older people, like kind of, very, very gung-ho about Toledo. I feel like there's something admirable about like, having that much, this sort of like attitude of you're going to stick with a place regardless of like, what it's like.
Yasu's hitting on that good old Toledo loyalty. He's right. There definitely is something special about sticking with your city through thick and thin. But there are clear pitfalls with that mentality too. Darren Moore, the Ottawa Hills Town Council member who we heard from in episode 6, talked about this at length. He said that this unwavering allegiance to Toledo can sometimes trick people into celebrating minor victories while the alarm bells are ringing. But there's another knock-on effect of that extreme loyalty. Namely, what happens when Toledo boosters come into contact with people who don't have that same level of devotion to this city. These could be encounters for constructive conversation on how Toledo could improve. Instead, they're usually dead ends. Anavi witnessed this phenomenon firsthand.
When we talk to a lot of kind of the officials of Toledo, a lot of people say like, oh, we have everything here in Toledo, but people just aren't coming here to find it. And so they first are putting it on like other people to kind of come in, like they've kind of done their job and it's up to everyone else to kind of just fall into place, it felt. They're like, people are leaving, but we have everything here, so like it doesn't make any sense simply. And so I think that adds to a lot of pessimism. And that's something that Nicole Pfeiffer from the Center of Regional Development, she was saying that it's kind of like this very overarching mindset around locals in Northwest Ohio is just this pessimism that, oh, we don't deserve more, so we're just going to accept what we can get.
That kind of brought up a point that I wanted to talk about where I feel like a lot of people I have spoken to mention like climate change and how this area is going to end up being like safe haven and like the Great Lakes. Yeah. Which is always like kind of a mix of like depressing, but also like, all right, I'm good. Like if I stay here, like I guess I'll survive. Like that's a weird feeling to have. But it kind of makes me think about like the idea of like waiting for this perception to get better, waiting for like development. Like at what point do you go for something that maybe already exists versus waiting for it to become what you want it to become?
For many of the young people we spoke to this season who were in Toledo, living in this city had become something of a waiting game. Even some of the most committed Toledoans, the people who said they could see good things on the horizon, admitted that there's always this lingering sense of doubt. Jalen Toll, the DJ from episode 2, believes that downtown Toledo holds real promise, but also worries that one day he'll wake up and realize that he's wasted his youth on this city. Mel Monaghan, the recent Ohio State grad, worked downtown for a while, but in the end, she decided that she couldn't keep on believing that she was bound to find some community eventually. These are people who aren't sure that they have the patience or the stamina to endure the wait for Toledo's tomorrow. But we're also wondering about the effect that all that waiting can have on a city. If Toledo's young people are just holding on to the hope that their lives here will improve, it's hard to imagine that this will someday become a place that actually meets their needs. If Toledo is going to attract the sort of talent that has the desire and the ability to transform the city, the sales pitch can't be that this place is already everything a young person could ever want. Judging by what we've heard over the last 6 episodes, I think it's fair to say that if we want to tell people you will do better in Toledo, Toledo will have to do better first. But like Allende Bonifacio spoke about back in episode 5, that doesn't mean that Toledo has to let go of itself completely. This city has plenty of assets and a proud history filled with economic, political, and social success. If Toledo loosens its white-knuckled grip on the past, that past can offer the city more than just a hit of nostalgia. It can be a reference point, a benchmark for how far this place has already come, a source of inspiration for a new generation of Toledoans to draw from as they reshape the city. Our interns came up against the weight of Toledo's past a lot in their reporting, and it definitely left an impression on them. Here's Yasu again, who hadn't been to Toledo before joining the cohort last summer.
But I also do think the perspective that someone like us who have like just come here recently like maybe lack is like the perspective of time and the perspective that like I think particularly like when people are talking about like the downtown of Toledo, it sounds like it has like improved a lot. And like I think some of the pride might be in, you know, the fact that things have improved. And I feel like that is maybe something that would be missed by someone who is not from here, is sort of where things have come from and like sort of how much work it took to get things where they are.
Yasu's right. If you just parachute into a city like Toledo, you're not going to have the same perspective as someone who has spent real time living and growing within this community. You're probably more likely to feel that knee-jerk reaction, to jump to conclusions. If you don't know what Toledo used to be, you're more likely to criticize this place for what it isn't, rather than appreciate it for what it is. Toledoans are proud of their community, and in many ways, they have every right to be.
Before we wrap up, we wanted to give the interns a chance to take a step back from Toledo. We asked them to imagine the place they'd want to settle down in. What would that city look like?
When you guys think about like your ideal place to live, I don't know, what are like the top 3 categories?
I'm okay. I'll start before I start the 10 seconds. I'm in a rational party. Don't think rationally. I love Mystique. Mystique is a big thing.
Okay, so
Mystique. I love Mystique. Mystique's huge. I mean, I guess a job kind of has to be there for me to go there. Mystique, job, and then I guess no, I'll just say Mystique and job. Why not?
That's it?
I think so. I'm pretty open-minded about where it is that I go. I don't have any places that I would super cross off the list. Actually, you know what? I think that politics also has something to do with it. And I think for YPs that's also true.
YP is shorthand for Young Professional. It's actually an acronym that Epic Toledo uses. Our team just adopted it.
Yasu and I were kind of having a conversation about this the other day, but that the identity that comes with political beliefs bleeds into a lot of other cultural things. So this isn't to say that I want to be in some kind of like echo chamber, but people that I would agree with politically, I think I would also get along with in other sort of ways and perhaps be able to like feel more empowerment in terms of the things that are happening in whatever community I go to.
I think I want a place that feels like very warm and inviting.
Here's Rajan.
But I think the main thing is more, I think a certain like diversity in the people that I see like around me, like in a new city, I think would also be like very crucial. I think especially because like where I grew up, and not just like racial diversity, but just like all kinds of different people, especially people like moving to a region, and because it was like a very fast growing area, I think I liked that. I never like felt stagnant. Like there was always new things going on. There was like, again, like all kinds of like restaurants, food, just like things to do, different attractions, whatever.
I'm in a bit of a particular situation because the place that I want to end up next is not necessarily a place that conforms with the things that I prioritize in a city. So, irrational actor, but I think I'll explain myself. So the place that I want to end up next is Los Angeles. And the reason I want to end up there is because my partner lives there. And I do wonder about how much my relationship status has affected and impacted my ability to find community here. But that's, I think, a little bit besides the point. The point is that the city that I want to live in has great public transit, is a walkable city, and has snow.
0 for 3.
And Los Angeles has none of those things. But I think the reason that I can like still have a lot of enthusiasm and excitement about the idea of a move to Los Angeles says to me that the sort of like rational priorities we set for ourselves aren't always the end all be all, because there are other things beyond the priorities I care most about that can really make a place suitable and rewarding and rich. The difficult thing is that I don't really know how to quantify that, and I don't really know for sure until I'm there, whether or not this place that doesn't necessarily align with my interests and goals for myself could show me something about myself that I hadn't expected to see.
Well, is love rational? Is love? Where does that fall under this thing? Because I think a lot of people in Toledo would like make that kind of claim too. Like family, when we talk to people of why they live in Toledo is like a big thing. They want to love and care for their family. I think like a romantic partner is like a similar thing.
No, I think you're right. I think you're right in that like connection can override a whole lot of the things that you think would have otherwise been important for you. I think it's a lot of the reason that a lot of people have stayed in Toledo longer than they thought they would.
In taking on this project, Yannick and I knew that we needed to treat this place and these people with respect and humility. We've been working on this podcast for more than a year now, and those principles have guided our storytelling from the very start.
I know that there are many aspects of life in Toledo that I, as a relative newcomer to the community, will never understand as fully as someone whose roots here run deep and who has no intention of leaving. But at the same time, I have belonged to Toledo. I have given myself to this city. My contributions are shaped by what I've learned through living in other places before coming here, and by the knowledge that I haven't found everything I'm looking for in Toledo. But we believe that anybody who chooses to spend meaningful time in this city should be given the opportunity to share their experience in Toledo and help imagine its future. Our organization was founded on this conviction. This podcast is the story that Midstory was made for. It's time to pull back the curtain. Next week, on the season finale of Brain Drain, the Midstory. Brain Drain is a Midstory podcast written and hosted by Dea Kukeli and by me, Yannick Schaller. Our editors are Logan Sander and Samuel Chang.
Sound design and engineering on this episode is by Yannick Schaller. Original artwork for the series by Ruth Chang and Joshua Rep. Data analysis by Taisha Tsui, Anna Diosio, and Yitong Jung. Fact-checking by Terry Brisky.
Special thanks go to our lovely team of interns who called Toledo home for, at least, a summer. Anavi Prakash, Yasu Shinazaki, Rajan Carson, Martin Barreto, and Desiree Lua. Drain Gang for life.
For more information, research, and reading material, please check out the show notes for this episode, available at midstory.org/braindrain.
If our reporting has struck a chord or a nerve, we want to hear from you. Reach us on social media or via email at braindrain@midstory.org. Thanks for listening.